Okay, this is problem 2 from your word problems. A toy manufacturer makes two kinds of toy robots, a Robert X and a T-Bot Y. And we're going to highlight the information as we read it. It takes 7 man-hours to produce one Robert, 5 man-hours to produce one T-Bot. There cannot be more than 3 Roberts for every T-Bot produced. The company only has 350 man-hours available. At a minimum, the toy manufacturer needs to make at least 10 T-Bots and at most 30 Roberts. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write down our constraints for which is just our equations or our inequalities. So let's just start at the very top. They're talking about man hours, so I want to kind of group together anything that talks about man hours. So I have 7 man hours to produce one Robert, 5 man hours to produce one T-Bot, and then down here it says 350 man hours are available per day. So they already said that X is equal to Roberts and Y is going to be equal to T-Bot. Okay, so 7 hours to produce one Robert. So I know 7 hours to produce one Robert, but we just don't know how many Roberts we're going to produce. Plus 5 man hours to produce one T-Bot, so 5 times Y. And then it says they only have 350 man hours available. So I know I'm going to have to do all of this work in less than or equal to 350 hours. So there's our first inequality. So we've used this, we've used this, we've used this. Then it says there cannot be more than 3 Roberts for every T-Bot produced. So if I have 3 Roberts, that cannot be more than 1 T-Bot. So 3x has to be less than y. Okay, so I've used that. And then it says, at minimum, the toy manufacturer needs to make at least 10 T-Bots. So our T-Bots have to be at least 10, so 10 or more, so that's greater than or equal to 10. And at most, 30 Roberts. So our X has to be at most, means 30 or less, so X is less than or equal to 30. So those are our constraints for this problem. Okay, now on part B, it says draw the constraints on a set of axes and indicate the feasible region. All right, so I'm going to just copy down my inequalities. I know 5y plus 7x is less than or equal to 350. We know y is greater than or equal to 10. 3x is less than or equal to y, and then x is less than or equal to 30. Okay, so the first thing I would do, let's go ahead and solve for y on this one, and then that way we'll kind of know what we need to make our axes go to. So if I solve for y on this, I'm going to subtract 7x. 5y is less than or equal to negative 7x plus 350. Then I'm going to divide by 5. So y is less than or equal to negative 7x over 5 plus 5 and a 350, that's 70. Okay. So I know my y-intercept is 70, 10. So I'm going to go by 10s on this problem. Okay, really I'm going by 5s, but I'm going to mark every other one. So I have 10, 20, 30. So go ahead and draw your xy axis. Make sure you label your units. And then I'm going to do the same thing on my y-axis. 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay. All right, so let's start graphing these. Let's go ahead and just graph this one first. Y is less than or equal to negative 7x over 5 plus 70. So my y-intercept is 70. I'm going to do all of these in blue. And my slope is negative 7 over 5. So if you notice, each one, I went by 10, so this would be 5. So negative 7 would be about right here, and then to the right 5. Down 7. to the right 5, so this would be 5, 7, about, let's see, that would be 5. I'm trying to get this as accurate as possible. Down 7. So down, there's 5, so about 7 to the right 5, somewhere about right there. Okay, and I'm going to draw this in, and again, hopefully you're going to do a better job because I have a really hard time with this. Okay, so something like that. It's less than, okay, so I'm shading below this line. Okay, so that was my first one. All right, y is greater than or equal to 10. Okay, so I've done this one. Y is greater than or equal to 10, that's going to be a horizontal line at 10. So here's my horizontal line at 10. And it is greater than, so I'm shading above this line. And since I can already tell that this is the part they have in common, I'm just going to do this part so far. Okay, so this one, my next one, can you tell that when I flip this around, I have y is greater than or equal to 3x. So here's my y-intercept, 0. Since I went by tens, my slope is 3 over 1, right? If I multiply that by 10, do you see that 30 over 10 is the same thing as 3 over 1? And that slope's going to be easier for me to graph. I can go up 30 to the right 10. Up 30, here's 10, 20, 30, to the right 10. All right, so there's that line. I'm going to miss it. Okay. And it's going to be greater than. So it's going to be this area right here that they have in common so far. Okay, and then my last one is x is less than or equal to 30. So we'll do that in red. That's going to be a vertical line at 30. It's going to be less than. Okay, so less than is going to be to the left of this. So you see the part that they have in common? It's going to be this area right here. Okay, so let's see what my shaded region, my little area that overlaps for all of them. It's right here to right here. It's going to go up to right here and to right here. So you see this region that we're now talking about? Okay. So I'll let you go ahead and shade that in. Okay, so let's write down our ordered pairs. This one right here is going to be 0, 70. This one right here, that point right there is going to be 0, 10. This point right here, okay, do you remember what that went with? That was this right here. So that's going to be, let's see, when x is 10, let's say, so this is it right here. So that one's going to be kind of hard to determine what this point right here is. If I went by fives, I'm going to say it's 3, 10. And then this point right here, it falls right between, so let's say that's 18, 50. Okay, so those are my vertices of my enclosed region. So part C says, if the company makes a profit of $6.40 on each robber and a profit of $3.20 per T-bot, determine the maximum profit the company can make per day. So profit equals $6.40 for each robber, which is X, plus $3.20 per T-bot, which is Y. So now we're going to take these ordered pairs and plug them into that equation. So I'm going to rewrite those, 0.70, 0.10, and then my other two were 3.10 and 18.50. 3.10, 18.50. Okay, so let's do 0.70 first. So profit equals, okay, and I'm going to put 0.70. So 640 times 0, because that's my X, plus 320 times my Y, which is 70. And whenever I put that in the calculator, that's going to be 0 plus 320 times 70, 224. Okay, now let's do the point 0.10. P equals 640 times 0 plus 320 times 10. That's going to be 32. Now let's do the point 310. P equals 640 times 3 plus 320 times 10. So 640 times 3, that's going to be 1920 plus 32. And that's going to give me $51.20. So let's do our last one, 18.50. So P equals 640 times 18 plus 320 times 50. 640 times 18, that's going to be 115.2. 320 times 50, that's going to be 160. And when I add those together, I get 275.2. So out of all of these answers, we want to know the maximum profit. Well, the maximum profit would be this one, $275.20. And that's when I make 18 Roberts and 50 T-bots. Okay, so that was number 2.